Okay, I'm going to get this session kicked off if that's okay. I just want to say to those on the call already, welcome and thank you very much for joining. These things only happen when you guys get involved, so thank you very much indeed. Now, just to start with myself, my name's Liam Barbary, one of the company directors of Benchmark Consulting. I'm the ex-chair of the Midlands division of the Packaging Society for IOM3. My dad, who's also on the call, Tim Barbary, is the current chair. For those of you who aren't subscribed and registered with IOM3, I'd just welcome you to reach out to either myself or Tim Barbary or probably best Ian Morris, who's on the call as well. We're always looking for new people to help us out with the committee. We're always looking for new people that have new ideas. If any of you have any ideas for presentations that you would like to see, or even visits, so typically we always did factory visits, ideally in our region, we can organise those with, I say, relative ease. Sometimes it takes a little bit of convincing, but we can normally get that done. But really, ultimately, what we try and do is just provide an opportunity for networking sessions, site visits, and just general education. So if you aren't registered with IOM3, please do reach out. We'd love to have you in our network and just be able to exchange ideas and just really help each other out where we can. So that's the IOM3 part. So the next part, which is the main reason why we're here today, which is not to listen to me waffle on, of course, is to listen to Chris from Path. Now, Chris and I and my business have had a relationship together now for a number of months. Oh, sorry, we have a new participant that is not muted. Maybe not. So Chris and I have known each other for a number of months now, and I was really struck with Chris and his business because a lot of the time, coming from a background working for Amcor, working with designers, I always found that we would get dropped on our desk something really complex as a design or a concept, and then it would be up to us as Amcor and the brand owner, of course, as well, to try and make the thing work. And there was always a big disconnect between design and practicalities and realities and what can be achieved in print and design and pack format. It was a real breath of fresh air to speak to Chris for the first time. And as mentioned, we've spoken on a number of occasions now where, Chris and his team are quite technically aware, actually. For a design agency, that's unusual, at least to my experience. And Path as a business and Chris as an individual, they have a really unique approach to design, not just for designers in print, but designers in a pack format and how they approach that. And obviously with Benchmark, my organization now having a carbon footprint modeling capability, it's probably pretty obvious where I are trying to collaborate there. So without further ado, I'm going to pass on to Chris. I know you're going to enjoy this presentation. I was really taken by it when I first saw it. I'm going to suggest if you could all please put your comments in, any questions you've got, please, as the presentation's running, in the comments box. So please type here. And then what I'll do is at the end of Chris's presentation, I'll come to you with all the questions. The other side, the slide deck will be made available. You might have also noticed as well that I've hit the record button on this session. So in the normal way, we'll upload that to our YouTube channel and send all of the attendees the link to the video as well. That's about me done. Chris, over to you.
Great. Thanks for the kind words, Liam. I'm going on to YouTube, crikey. Okay. Right, thanks very much for having me. It's really nice to be here to talk to you today. As Liam said, I've been asked to just talk for about 30 minutes or so. We'll see how we get on. Generally about our design approach at Path in relation to circularity, improving sustainability, I guess, and how we create ideas with end of life in mind. So I'm going to crack through that. That's the bulk of it. But I think, first of all, it'd be useful to give you a bit of a context about us and myself. So very quickly, I'm the creative director at Path. I'm a design consultant. I've been working for over 30 years now, believe it or not. Hopefully you'll say not because I look so young. But anyway, in various design consultancies around the country. I've been primarily focused in agency. I guess I have a particular specialism because of my industrial design training in structural design and innovation, as we like to talk about it. But I do get involved in lots of stuff at Path outside of that remit. But I guess my primary role is heading up the 3D team at Path and also driving our sustainability agenda and thinking and sort of general ideas around that space. We are Path. We've been going 19 years now, 20th year next year, so pretty established, but we're still a small company, 43 people at the moment across 2 sites in London, which is where I'm based, and in Croydon. So we're kind of in that sort of mid space of agility to size to number sort of rates. Path, which is based next to Wandsworth Park, a very nice place actually, lots of greenery in by the river. Is basically where I'm based and what I'm representing today. With equal split of strategy, 2D design, traditional 2D branding design, and 3D innovation, all wrapped up in sort of client service. So we give that really kind of seamless communication with our clients through that relationship. Also based at Path, the Path Work, which is good. So it's our artwork side. It does stand alone as a sister business because they do work for other people, but primarily, and you engage through Path, it's a seamless relationship through Path. We also, this is where we're quite unique, have a company called Illuminate, they're based in Croydon, who, so I should say Pathwork deliver print-ready artworks. So that's the kind of seamless transition from design to production from the graphic side. Illuminate transition that into mock-ups. So we're able to produce 3D printed pre-production quality mock-ups down in Croydon, all print-proofed on digital and also traditional press, so we can check stuff before it goes to production. And as Liam said, it's very much about end-to-end. That's what the Path model is about, because the more we can keep control of that, the better we can deliver the vision at the end of the day, and that technical knowledge. So that's kind of the framework of our business. So we design brands to be better in every dimension. I should have said I'm going to be looking over here, sometimes over here, because that's where the camera is, that's where the main pres is. But so if I've got your side of my face, don't worry about that. So better in every dimension, what do we mean there? Well, we live in a kind of fully 360 world now, where brands connect with consumers on a sort of seamless kind of multi-dimensional experience basis. So if these brands are going to live and breathe, they need to kind of resonate with their consumers across all these touch points. So what we aim to do is generate stories that will resonate to consumers across this multi-dimensional space. So better in every dimension. Essentially, that means we're an agency that can deliver growth through brand design and innovation. So to deliver better impact, better experience, and better communication for our brands. We say we create ideas from insight to in hand. This is about unearthing and overlaying consumer insight. And this is what I want to talk to you more about today, actually. So it's about understanding technical data as well as consumer kind of inspiration, market materials, design trends, business needs and objectives right at the beginning, and using that to create solutions that deliver ownable benefit over a consumable benefit at the end that's underpinned with measurable, ideally measurable sustainability improvement. And I'll talk a bit about why those two are embedded together, but that's essentially what ideas from insight to in hand means. Quick snapshots on the work. It's good to show stuff. So we work from brand creation like Noodle Plus for established brands, where we're building brands from the ground up, brand rejuvenation such as Milky Way, which is coming out at the moment into market. Great piece we did for Mars a year and a half ago. We've got travel retail gifting through Auchentoshan for Beam Suntory there, which is all about kind of activation within that space. We've got seasonal activation bottom left, which is how we bring innovation thinking to seasonal moments, for instance, to kind of create and disrupt categories. That won a DBA Design Effectiveness Award recently. Packaging, our core packaging innovation, Peroni, which is a secondary pack innovation, structural innovation in the bottom. And new brand creation, again, NPD from startups like Highball. So we kind of work from the full spectrum of large multinationals down to small startup brands, which is really cool. Okay, quickly moving on. That's about 10 minutes, so I need to move on a bit. Designing with end of life in mind. This is what we're going to talk about today. How do we do this? How do we try to achieve this at Path? Well, what is circular economy? This is a bit like teaching to suck eggs to a certain extent, because we all kind of know what it is, but it's good to draw a line in the sand. So we define this as a product that's created with its own end of life taken into account. So you think about what's going to happen to it when you sort of start it. Pretty basic stuff, really. But I guess in a circular economy, once the user's finished with it, the consumer's finished with it, it can go back into the supply chain in some way and get reused. So rather than chucking it away, we reuse it. So that's what we're all aiming at trying to achieve. Great metaphor going uphill, because it's not that easy. Easy to say, relatively easy to say, but pretty hard to achieve. So I guess both as consumers, because we all consume stuff, but also as professionals within the packaging and product arena, we're all aware of all the legislation that's around us and all the innovation that's happening in materials and packaging and product around us as well, which is a flurry of constant activity. That's aiming to deliver a more sustainable future for us all. But ultimately, this is really complex. It's quite daunting at times, and I think we're all a bit daunted by it. And it's quite divisive because we've got some very strong opinions across the piece, as we've seen. But as we know, it relates to our planet, making sure that we're addressing those issues that we're creating. It relates to the people that live on that planet and how we engage with that and the effects that the whole piece has on those people, but also the profit, as we said, because we're all in business to make money, and it's about delivering profit, but with a balance with the people and the planet. Complex challenge, though. Unfortunately, there are no silver bullets or silver arrows or gold arrows. Couldn't find a decent image of bullets that was working, that wasn't too threatening, so I went with arrows. But basically, what it's to say is it's not an easy challenge to solve. You're not going to get it out of a box. It's actually the opportunities for for real change lie in the full journey, the full product and packaging life cycle from end to end. And it really is delivered through hard work and diligent teamwork. We'd all like a simple solution, but unfortunately, it's not going to come from that. Involves cross-functional teams from procurement right through to production, end to end. But I think it's important to recognise that all these people that we get together in that group, that we need to get together to affect change, have their kind of individual agendas and need for storytelling. They've all got their place and they want to tell that back to the business. So we have to engage as a team together to affect the change that will work for us all in that chain. And the other important, slightly controversial point is, if you really want to make this happen, you need the right number of people and no more. You don't want people in there who are going to get in the way. You want people in there that are going to make decisions and to move things forward. This is why smaller companies are more effective than bigger companies, because of the politics, but that's a debate we can run on. So teamwork is everything, and the right team that will get us moving. Another great metaphor, balloons flying off. Ultimately, the greatest change in that supply chain, that production change, can come from quite boring areas that don't really motivate consumers, because you can do various things that we can talk about. But the key is, ultimately, we need to engage with our consumers. Getting their imagination inspired is vital if we're going to get them to engage in our ambitions of sustainability. If they don't buy it, they don't live it, and love it, then kind of all the effort that we put into it is going to be waiting. So it's going to be wasted. So we've got to make this exciting. So how can we innovate in ways that ensure that consumer engagement? Ultimately, in a way, packaging, which is primarily what I'm going to talk to you today about, packaging is a perfect conduit for these conversations. It's a perfect platform for them. It's the most tangible touch point for most experiences, especially within the FMCG arena. The packaging experience is the most tangible point, and it's the easiest way to open a dialogue. But unfortunately, obviously, there are challenges we'll come on to about what that is. But that dialogue is the easiest touch point to get the engagement. A little example here from a brand called Magenta, a tequila brand who are using the waste from their production, which is becoming fairly common now, with waste from production, in all the production of their secondary packs and labels. So it's a lovely sort of end-to-end circularity story there. How about they're reducing virgin content by using waste materials? So how can we engage and get that dialogue going with consumers? Well, ultimately, and not being controversial again, brands, as I said, are ideally suited to drive this education piece. So that's the door, very helpful. I should ignore it. Packaging has revolutionized. Thank you very much, Siri. Someone's at the door. Packaging has revolutionized how we live. Okay, we know that, but in many ways it's now seen as the enemy. That visibility that I talked about, that touch point visibility, it's an easy target, isn't it? You know, it actually most often delivers the biggest benefit in the supply chain because it reduces wastage. But it's an easy target for people to pick up on and say that's our enemy, and to affect change to in possibly not the best ways. But because it's the most visible sign, let's say the visible easy target. But what we need to do, I guess, is educate the consumers. So we have the means to do that, and brands have the means to drive this education. And some would argue the responsibility to do that, because ultimately we all have to be responsible with packaging producers and packaging distributors. We all have to become responsible in this education piece to make them understand what it does for them, why it's delivering good, why we've chosen the right materials, what we're doing is improving things, and how we're working and how we're getting better to improve the situation, and to make you know, what's our journey. It's not about being perfect, it's not a switch, but it's about communicating to show our journey and how we're being better on that journey, and to use that tangibility. And we all know that the legislation, as we'll come to, is chasing us on this. But this narrative is constantly changing. You know, it's not kind of what it was. Things are constantly moving, evolving. So we've got to stay on top of that, and we have to deliver truly impactful, effective, branded stories. We need to kind of react to that, be understand of that, and to make them truly effective through this kind of evolving kind of space. What do I mean by that? Here's some examples. So you could say fairly recent past, from harm reduction to proactive regeneration. Harm reduction, example of Chivers Regal, recent lightweighting their bottle, doing a great job. 1,000 tons of glass per year out of the supply chain. You know, it's doing a good thing, but that's kind of old sustainability. We're now moving to places like proactive regeneration, where Lost kind of Explorer Mezcal here. It's turning their agave waste into fertilizer for the next generation and regeneration of the product. So it's that higher level. We've got to think bigger than just solving the problems. We've got to be much more engaging with our consumers and our story. Self-promotion to open collaboration. Well, very compostable. Compostability is talked about a lot. Here's a brand, very compostable, where they use bioplastic in their immunity kits in hotels to manage the kind of the waste. So you use it and you chuck it in there and it gets composted. Sounds good, but we know there are challenges